So what's the upshot on the whole big BP oil spill deal? The Oil Spill Commission has released their final report. Did you hear about that? Yeah. This is from Chapter 5. During the spill, the governors and other state political officials participated in the response in unprecedented ways, taking decisions out of the hands of career oil spill responders. These high-level state officials, hey, Bobby, were much less familiar with spill response planning. When confronted with a contingency plan setting out how the federal and state governments were supposed to run an oil spill response, one high-level state official told a Coast Guard responder that he'd never signed it. He wasn't questioning whether the signature appeared on the document, but asserting he had not substantively reviewed the plan. State and local officials largely rejected the pre-spill plans, began to create their own response. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal's advisors reportedly spent days trying to determine whether the Stafford Act or the National Contingency Plan applied. Louisiana declined to empower the officials it sent to work with federal responders inside the Unified Command, instead requiring most decisions to go through the governor's office. Coast Guard responders watched Governor Jindal and the TV cameras following him return to what appeared to be the same spot of oiled marsh day after day to complain about the inadequacy of the federal response, even though only a small amount of marsh was then oiled. When the Coast Guard sought to clean up that location, Governor Jindal refused to confirm the location. Journalists encouraged state and local officials and residents to display their anger at the federal response and offered coverage when they did. Anderson Cooper reportedly asked a parish president to bring an angry, unemployed offshore oil worker on his show. When the parish president could not promise the worker would be angry, both were disinvited. Keeping him honest. Anderson Cooper, who called it Obama's Katrina. Obama's Katrina is yet to come. Stand by when this new levee system is complete. By the way, the Army Corps of Engineers was told by Congress in 2007 to impanel a peer review group to study and review all of its planning and construction for the new system in New Orleans. That group has been impaneled. Last year, held its first meeting in November after all the design and most of the construction were completed. Building strong. Back to the oil spill report. There's a 43-page chapter that suggests that berms and boom were pretty much a failure, collecting more headlines than oil. You heard on this program about the shortcomings of boom. Berms were the favored solution of Governor Bobby Jindal and Plaquemine Parish President Billy Nungesser. Garrett Graves, Governor Jindal's top advisor on coastal issues, said the commission's report showed contempt for the Cajun ingenuity that was the real saving grace in the disaster. The commission did call on Congress to create an independent safety agency to oversee oil drilling, raise the $75 million oil spill liability ceiling, and dedicate 80% of any Clean Water Act penalties paid by BP to restoring the Gulf Coast. But who gained the most from the whole deal? Maybe BP. This happened this week, ladies and gentlemen. A Russian minister said BP's experience in cleaning up the Gulf of Mexico oil spill was one of the reasons Russia chose the British oil firm. Imagine that. BP's British, according to the Russians. To help develop its fragile Arctic oil fields. BP and Russia's state-controlled oil company agreed this week to a multi-billion-dollar deal under which they'll jointly explore for offshore oil in a deal that gives BP access to areas of the Arctic previously reserved for Russian firms. They've gained a great deal of experience in the Gulf of Mexico cleanup operation, said the chairman of the Russian firm, when asked why BP was chosen. BP, he said, has learned from this experience. BP's new chief, Bob Dudley. Compare this with some statements Bob Dudley has made in the recent past, ladies and gentlemen, about BP and its role. Quote, now, in Russia, he says, to be honest, we've learned a lot about what happened in the Gulf of Mexico. It has shaken the company to the core. We are going to have renewed focus on safety and risk management. Unquote. Bob Dudley. Congratulations, BP.